right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, my YouTube family. I see you, Clubhouse. I see you, Clubhouse. Good afternoon. It is 5 o'clock here on the East Coast. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey. And you know what time it is. You know what time it is. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on YouTube, right here in Clubhouse. I come to you with Keeping Up with Congress, y'all. Keeping Up with Congress. Because I'm telling you, we will not, and I repeat, we will not get reparations without negotiations, right? We got to know the players. We got to know this game they're playing. We gotta pay attention, y'all. We got to pay attention. So if you are following me right here on YouTube, please hit that like button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit that notification, and share, share, share. And if you are following me right here in the Clubhouse space, ping some folks into the room. You know, I keep this room open for an hour over in Clubhouse. The first half hour I spend right here with the YouTube family. I come on YouTube from 5 to 5:30, and then I bring it over to the Clubhouse space from the half hour until the top of the hour. So y'all, it is Wednesday, September 22nd. And you know, I always like to bring you reparations information at the top of the hour. Reparations information is what's going on in the news specific to reparations, y'all. What's going on with my computer today? The internet is doing something strange, y'all. You see my screen is white. So I hope you can hear me. I hope you can hear me over in the, I know you can hear me on Clubhouse, but I hope you can hear me on YouTube. Let's try this again. Let's Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Y'all, my computer's internet is doing something real funky, y'all. I'm sorry. Not today, Satan. Not today. Not today, y'all. It says unresponsive. Let's try it again. Are all my pages that way? Maybe it's just that one. Let's go on to the next page. I'll come back to that one. Hopefully it comes back. But this article, y'all, this particular article I found on Yahoo News. Yeah, I didn't like this article at all about reparations. I don't know where they were going, because we're real clear that reparations is federal. Reparations is federal. Reparations is federal. And I always say that 3 times because reparations is federal. And this article here, you know, we have to be mindful. We have this More Mayors, MORE mayors.org. We have mayors across the country that have decided that they are going to initiate reparations in their cities. We have states that have bills that they have introduced specific to reparations. Here in Georgia, we have HB 541 that has been introduced in the Georgia legislature, does not say reparations. It studies the impact of slavery on those of us who are descendants of chattel slavery here in Georgia. So we're not trying to initiate reparations here in Georgia. But this these mayors across the country now, they're specifically saying reparations. This article goes left, and I'm gonna read it to you. I highlighted what I could, and I got to a point where I was like, I can't even read this. But it says how reparations can be paid through school finance reform. How reparations can be paid through school finance reform. Reparations can't be paid through school finance reform. But I read the article, y'all. It says, while public schools have always gotten more money, while white public schools have always gotten more money than black public schools, these funding disparities go back to the so-called separate but equal era, which was enshrined into the nation's laws by the Supreme Court's 1896 decision in Plessy versus Ferguson. Goes on to say the disparities have persisted even after Brown versus Board of Education, the landmark 1954 Supreme Court decision that ordered the desegregation of America's public schools. Article goes on to say, since black schools get less funding, even though black homeowners pay higher property taxes than their white counterparts, we think reparations are due. And they can be paid by reforming the ways Black homeowners are taxed and schools in Black communities are funded. I didn't like this article. It says, we make this argument as school finance and education law scholars who have studied racial inequity in education for decades. It says, we propose a 4-part reparations plan to address racial inequities in education. It says the plan deals with 1, local property taxes, 2, school revenues, 3, targeted funding to close gaps in student outcomes, and 4, federal monitoring. Didn't like this article. It says, number 1, tax rebates to Black homeowners, goes into how this could be reparations. It can't be. This is a state initiative or a city initiative. It ain't reparations. We're clear. But let's go on and read the article. It says, number 1, tax rebates to Black homeowners. It says a big reason for racial funding disparities is housing segregation. It says this separation has led to vast differences in housing values and wealth that families have been able to accumulate. This in turn affects how much funding can be raised through property taxes for local public schools. The article goes on to say, since Black home values overall are lower, higher tax rates are often adopted to generate more local tax revenue. This comes in the form of what we refer to as a Black tax. It says, but even with higher tax rates, Black communities do not raise the same amount of property tax revenue to fund public schools as white communities in the same state or metropolitan area. Goes on to say, we recommend direct rebates to Black homeowners and previously redlined or otherwise segregated communities in the amount calculated to cover the Black tax. So if you start giving checks, rebates, because that's what this says, direct rebates to Black homeowners in previously redlined or otherwise segregated communities, what happens to the monies that should be going to the schools? This is where it gets murky. I didn't like this article, but I wanted to read it to you guys since I read it. It says, for example, the Black tax in Bridgeport, Connecticut is just over 0.5%. It says for a home valued at $340,000, the annual rebate amount would be just over $1,800. It says these rebates would put money in the hands of Black homeowners. So you're going to put money in the hands of Black homeowners who would then have the option, listen to this, to either spend more on their local public schools or increase their personal savings. So you're going to give this money, these rebates, so that they can either, you can put it in their hands. It should be going to the schools, but they can keep it. Either way, it says, we believe they are owed this compensation, including possible cumulative compensation for past overpayments. So you're going to give these people back money that needs to be going into their schools. So you're going to stab them in the back and then shoot them. That's what it sounds like to me, right? It just sounds like, okay, you're going to do one thing and make something else worse, calling it reparations. Gets worse to me. Number 2, closing the racial gaps in schools, district revenues. It says state general aid programs, which are intended to make sure all schools get equitable funding routinely fall short. It says districts serving Black children tend to have less of their own taxable wealth. That is, districts serving more Black children do receive more state general aid than districts serving more white children, but not enough to close the gap. So it says additional state aid to school districts in Black communities could close this gap. Sounds like a state problem to me, right? Don't sound like reparations. This article kept going south, and I did stop reading, y'all. I couldn't take no more. Number 3, change how race factors into school aid formulas. They want to change the how race factors in, and then they want to, number 4, eliminate racism in school finance formulas. That ain't reparations. I stopped reading, y'all. I stopped reading. Let me go back to this article. It's just, oh, here it is. If it came up. So this was, we talked about this yesterday, how Asheville, North Carolina, Asheville was given their, okay, let me start with this article and then I'll come back to yesterday. So Asheville, North Carolina. It says Asheville reparations architect Keith Young criticizes the city's $366,000 outside contract. Remember, I told you yesterday they were given, it was 365 and something. They were giving this money to an outside contractor to do this quote unquote reparations work, to start the initiative to do this reparations work. So here's the article today with the pushback. I knew they were going to get some pushback. Hell, we will push it back, right? We would, when I told you about it yesterday, the pushback, we had pushback. So I'm glad to see that they're pushing back. So it says a $365,583 contract for a reparations project manager is facing criticism from the former elected official who wrote the city's historic initiative. So they took this man's initiative, they done ran with it, y'all. And I've been seeing this where they're taking our reparations movement and they're running with it. We're seeing. So this is the ex-city council, Keith Young, reacted to the size of the contract after the council voted 7-0 on September 14th to award it to T Equity, a Cary consulting firm run by Deborah Clark Jones. It says, this is his word. He said, God giveth and consultants take it away, and the people who should benefit watch in dismay. That's what the representative said who initiated this legislation. He's seeing whether this opportunity has presented itself on some sort of reparations initiative, and they done wrote a $365,000 contract to a consulting firm to quote unquote do the work. So he is not happy. And when we talked about this yesterday, I don't think we got it either, right? We didn't get it either. That's a lot of money, honestly, for the management of a reparations project to a consulting firm. Are they hiring other consultants? Is that what the money is for? Are they using it for media? Like, what are you like? Yeah, I have a lot of questions too. So I was glad to see this article. So we are going to dive into these bills. We're almost at the quarter of the hour. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey, y'all. You know who I am. You know what this is. Keeping Up with Congress. I'm passing the collection plate. You know we cannot get reparations, y'all, unless we get to Congress. And the way we're going to get to Congress, y'all, we're going to have to play this political game. And it's a game. And we're going to have to be able to compete. So if you have not gone to the website to make a donation, please do. Go to the website, donate, make it recurring if you can. You know, you can say, Tamara, I can give you $25 a month. We'll take it. We need it, y'all. We need whatever you can do, however often you can do it, because this is a campaign that we will not win unless we are able to compete. So let's dive into the Senate bills. You know, I told you November the 18th will be our last Keeping Up with Congress. I'm going to continue to do this through the month of October. We're going to get through November because we've already gotten through 1,000 House bills. We've been doing this since January. We've gotten through 1,000 House bills. My goal is to get us through, hopefully through 1,000 Senate bills before November 18th, because we have to know who these legislators are and what game they're playing, right? So let's dive in. Senate Bill 666. This is a bill to modify the criteria used by the Corps of Engineers to dredge small ports. This is Senator Rand Paul. We know who Mr. Rand Paul is. He is a Republican out of Kentucky. Keeping our eyes on Congress, y'all, Mr. Rand Paul. It says this bill sets a minimum tonnage requirement for the Army Corps of Engineers to use when considering whether to dredge small ports. So this is Senator Rand Paul, y'all. Senate Bill 666. Senate Bill 667. Senate Bill 667 is the Fuel Choice and Deregulation Act of 2021. Fuel Choice and Deregulation Act of 2021. Republicans are notorious for deregulation initiatives. We have to keep our eyes on them. Some of them, most of them, are a bit scary to me. I come from an industry where deregulation is a real threat. For those of you that don't know, I'm from the beauty and barber industry, and deregulation of licensure has always been a threat to us, those of us who were professionals, to deregulate an industry where you don't have to be licensed. That's a Republican mantra. They want to, that word deregulation to them says we want to bring more people into the workforce. We want more workers. They don't like to see the independence that licensure, specifically in this instance that I'm talking about, they don't like. They want people to work and have bosses and yeah, that doesn't work for the industry that I come from. But deregulation, he's very clear that he wants to deregulate. So this is Fuel Choice and Deregulation Act of 2021. It says this bill revises requirements governing the use of alternative fuels in vehicles. So it says, among other things, the bill revises requirements on aftermarket conversions that enable older vehicles to use alternative fuels. So this is the Fuel Choice and Deregulation Act of 2021, Senator Rand Paul. Senate Bill 668. Senate Bill 668 is the Endangered Species Management Self-Determination Act. Endangered Species Management Self-Determination Act. Again, Mr. Senator Rand Paul, Republican out of Kentucky. Y'all, are my neighbors cutting the grass again? I'm sorry, y'all. It's okay. It says this bill revises requirements governing the management of endangered or threatened species, establishes a process to compensate landowners under certain circumstances, and remove protections for black vultures and ravens. So this is the Endangered Species Management Self-Determination Act, Senate Bill 668. Senate Bill 669, Senate Bill 669. This is the Expeditionary Diplomacy Act of 2021. This is Senator Murphy, Senator Christopher Murphy. He's a Democrat out of Connecticut. It says this bill modifies oversight and accountability procedures for diplomatic personnel and actions by revising the structure and scope of review for certain diplomatic activities. It says specifically, this bill requires the Department of State to provide quarterly briefings. They're currently held monthly on progress towards opening or reopening high-risk, high-threat posts, as well as risks to national security from their continued closure and any barriers to opening those posts. I told you there's certain bills that we see, and we've seen a lot of. I gave you a list. There are abortion bills, veterans bills, immigration bills, national security, gun legislation, and streamlining of processes. This is one of these national security bills, Senate Bill 669. Senate Bill 670, Senate Bill 670. This is the Speeding Therapy Access Today Act of 2021. Speeding Therapy Access Today Act of 2021. This is Senator Amy Klobuchar. We know who she is, Democrat out of Minnesota, keeping our eyes on Congress. What are they doing? What are they doing, y'all? So this is the Speeding Therapy Access Today Act of 2021. It says this bill requires and authorizes various actions to accelerate the development of therapies of rare diseases. So it accelerates the development of therapies for rare diseases. You know, when I saw this bill, I thought about Operation Warp Speed, how Donald Trump was determined to get out the vaccine, calling it Operation Warp Speed. Keeping our eyes on Congress, y'all. I don't want them to rush medicines. I don't. I personally don't. But here it is, Senator Klobuchar, Senate Bill 670. Senate Bill 671. 671 is the Federal Agency Customer Experience Act of 2021. The Federal Agency Customer Experience Act of 2021. This is Margaret Wood Hassan, Senator Hassan, Margaret Hassan. She's a Democrat out of New Hampshire. It says this bill requires certain agencies to collect voluntary feedback with respect to their services and transactions. It says each of the agencies must, one, annually publish such feedback on its website and report on such feedback to the Office of Management and Budget, and two, report on the solicitation of such feedback. So this is getting some federal agency customer service experience feedback. Senate Bill 671. Y'all, when I get to Congress, I will be reading my bills. As you can tell, I don't mind reading these bills, and I like to know what's going on. So when we get to Congress, I will be reading my bills. A lot of these legislators, they get there, and I could tell you on a state level, there was a legislator here that I was working with many years ago, and I was told that she didn't read her bills, and I was appalled. I was like, "What? How can you not read your own? You don't read your bills?" And I didn't understand. I can't imagine being elected to be in this position and not do my job. I will be reading my bills. Keeping up with Congress, y'all. Keep up with your legislators. Just know a lot of them don't read their bills. Their aides read them. They'll come back and brief them. But I'm going to read my bills, and I'll still get my briefings because it may be something that I missed, but I'll still read mine. Senate Bill 672. Senate Bill 672 is the Coin Metal Modification Authorization and Cost Savings Act of 2021. Coin Metal Modification Authorization and Cost Saving Act of 2021. Now we know that, you know, they're trying to take coins out of circulation. I've been kind of following this. But what else? They says it's a cost saving. So I looked this one up. Like, I'm like, okay, what kind of cost saving are you talking about here? This is a senator. She says, I'm glad the House, this was actually passed over in the House already. This is now here in the U.S. Senate. It says, I'm glad the House passed this common sense legislation that could save millions of taxpayer dollars every year. It says by changing the compensation of coins, the composition, the material of coins, the U.S. Mint can produce coins at a lower cost while integrating them seamlessly into the current coin supply. It says making even a slight alteration in the composition could save the federal government $48 million over the first 10 years. She says it's a win-win, and I urge my colleagues in the Senate to pass this legislation soon. So they want to take the coins and change the composition as a cost-saving initiative. Keeping up with Congress, y'all. Senate Bill 672. There was a bill over in the House, and don't ask me the number, I can't remember, but I do remember the bill that talked about devaluing coins. And I said, if that kind of bill is coming down the pipe, if any of you save coins, because I know we're all notorious, we'll take our coins and throw them in an ashtray in the car or save them in a jar. You know, I save coins. If that kind of legislation is coming down the pipe, we need to make sure we cash them coins in while we can get full value for it. So keeping up with Congress, y'all. This is why we keep our eyes on what they do, because they'll know before we will. And we'll have a whole bunch of coins that's worth a fraction of what they should be worth. So you got to keep up with Congress, y'all. This is just the composition of the coin, the metal that it's made with. Senate Bill 673, Senate Bill 673. This is Journalism Competition and Preservation Act of 2021. Journalism Competition and Preservation Act of 2021. This is Amy Klobuchar. I looked this one up. I wanted to understand what kind of competition in journalism. It says nearly 90% of Americans now get news while on a smartphone, computer, or tablet, according to a Pew Research Center survey conducted last year. It says dwarfing the number of Americans who get news via television, radio, or print media. It says Facebook and Google now account for the vast majority of online referrals to news sources. It says with the two companies also enjoying control of a majority of the online advertising market. It says this digital ad duopoly has directly contributed to layoffs and consolidation in the news industry, particularly for local news. So this legislation would address the imbalance by providing a safe harbor for antitrust laws so publishers can band together to negotiate with large platforms. So this is competition, Journalism Competition and Preservation Act. And this is why this is independent media, what we do. Like, we're our own news. We got to do our own research and be our own resource. So let me say that again. We got to do our own research and be our own resource, because I don't trust traditional media, the television, the radio, and the print ads, and I don't trust Facebook and Google. So we got to do our own work, be our own resources. Keeping up with Congress, y'all. Keeping up with Congress. Senate Bill 674. I have about 5 more minutes, and I'm coming over to the clubhouse space. Senate Bill 674 is the Public Health Infrastructure Saves Lives Act. The Public Health Infrastructure Saves Lives Act. This is Senator Murphy, Patty Murphy. It says this bill provides annual funding for the Center for Disease Control, that's the CDC, to strengthen core healthcare infrastructure. So this core public health infrastructure includes the elements and workforce capabilities that enable health departments to perform critical functions such as disease surveillance and emergency response. So this is some money for the CDC, y'all. Senate Bill 674. Senate Bill 675 is the NICS Denial Notification Act of 2021. This is Senator Coons, Christopher Coons. He's a Democrat out of Delaware. It says this bill requires the Department of Justice to notify state and local law enforcement authorities, I have this in red, y'all, following a firearms related background check that results in a denial. So if somebody goes and they want to get a firearm and they're denied, this legislator said, let's call the law enforcement on them. Call your state and local law enforcement authorities and let them know that you just had somebody that was denied from trying to get a firearm. I don't know. I don't know if that's overreach. I don't know if that's too much. Keeping up with Congress, y'all. It kind of triggered me. Like, if you're denied, you can be denied for, I don't know. I don't know, but just to say, if you're denied, we're calling the police on you. I don't. It's a little disturbing. Senate Bill 676. Senate Bill 676 is the Stop Higher Education Espionage and Theft Act of 2021. This is Senator Ted Cruz, Republican out of Texas. We know who Mr. Ted Cruz is. It says this bill establishes a process for designating foreign actors as foreign intelligence threats to higher education. So again, this is national security, y'all. Senate Bill 676. Just a few more minutes and a few more bills. Senate Bill 677. Senate Bill 677. This is the Allied Burden Sharing Report Act of 2021. This is Senator Mike Lee. Senator Mike Lee, Republican out of Utah. The Allied Burden Sharing Report Act of 2021. It says this bill directs the Department of Defense to report to Congress on the contributions of allies to the common defense. Again, more of the national security legislation, y'all. Senate Bill 678. Senate Bill 678 is the English Language Unity Act of 2021. This is Senator Inhofe. Now, I haven't heard of Senator Inhofe, y'all. I don't know if I've heard of him. So he's new. So again, keeping up with Congress, knowing who these legislators are, and knowing what kind of legislation they're introducing. So I'm going to remember his name now that I've seen it. Inhofe, Inhofe, Republican out of Oklahoma. It says this bill establishes English as the official language of the United States. It said it establishes a framework for implementation and enforcement, including by testing English as part of the naturalization process. So this is the English Language Unity Act of 2021. Senate Bill 679. Senate Bill 679 is the Public Housing Emergency Response Act. Public Housing Emergency Response Act. This is Senator Elizabeth Warren. We know who she is, Senator Elizabeth Warren. This bill authorizes assistance from the Public Housing Capital Fund to public housing agencies based upon capital need as determined by the agency's most recent physical needs assessment. So she's going to get some money over to public housing. This is a Public Housing Emergency Response Act. Senator Elizabeth Warren. All right, we're at the half hour and we have reached our last bill for the afternoon. Senate Bill 680. Senate Bill 680. This is the BEST Act, BEST, BEST Act. Senator Schultz, Brian Schultz, Democrat out of Hawaii. It says this was interesting, y'all. I got this one in red too. This bill, the BEST, stands for Biliteracy Education Seal and Teaching Act. So listen to this. It says this bill directs the Department of Education to award renewable 2-year grants to states to establish or improve and carry out a seal of biliteracy program to recognize student proficiency in speaking, reading, and writing in both English and a second language. So if you can speak and you can read and you can write in both English and a second language, they want to give you some extra money if you're getting your students up to par to be able to do it. So interesting, y'all. I mean, money, I told you, in this Biden administration, they're making it rain. Making it rain. So this is Senator Schultz, Democrat out of Hawaii. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey. We are at the half hour. I just want to thank you again for joining me. I am here Monday, Tuesday. What is that? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here for Keeping Up with Congress. If you have not gone to the website, please do. Please do. We have a race to the United States Senate to win. I just keep showing up. Again, I'm going to keep doing Keeping Up with Congress until November the 18th. I have done all I can do. I have run not one time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Your girl, this is my 5th consecutive run for office. My hands, I'm going to put both hands up and say, I've done all I can do. May 24, 2022, I have been diligent. I have been consistent. I just ask that you do the same thing. Support this campaign. If we're going to get reparations, I can't get us reparations by myself. If we're going to get reparations, it'll take all of us to do it. Go to the website, donate, be consistent, volunteer, do what you can. Do what you can. We got a whole fundraising page to make our fundraising even fun. When you get something for giving. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Tomorrow, everybody, for Keeping Up with Congress. Thank you for tuning in for Keeping Up with Congress. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey, your candidate for the United States Senate. I'm a progressive Democrat that believes that reparations will make America great. It is time that we bridge the divide of this country. Please go to the website. That's tamaraforgeorgia.com. www.tamara, Georgia spelled out.com. Please join me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here for Keeping Up with Congress.